The world of strength and athletics has lost a true titan. Geoff Capes, British shot-put record holder, two-time world's strongest man, and a beloved figure in both the sporting and general communities, has passed away at the age of 75. A man of immeasurable talent, towering physical presence, and unwavering spirit, Capes' legacy extends far beyond the medals and trophies he collected throughout his extraordinary life. His family, in a heartfelt statement, shared the sad news on October 23rd, marking the end of an era in British sports. The family of Geoffrey Capes would like to announce his sad passing today. Britain's finest shot putter and twice world's strongest man. For anyone familiar with Geoff Capes' story, this announcement brings a sense of great loss, but also pride in reflecting on a man who, for decades, represented the very best of British athletics and strength sports. Whether in the shot-put circle, the world's strongest man competition, or the Highland Games, Capes was a man who pushed the limits of physical achievement and inspired generations of athletes to follow in his footsteps. A shot-put icon, breaking records and defining British athletics. Born in the Lincolnshire town of Holbeach in 1949, Geoff Capes' journey into the world of sports started at a young age. His imposing height (6 feet 5.5 inches) and powerful build made him a natural athlete. From early on, it was clear that Capes was destined for greatness, but few could have predicted just how far his talent would take him. Capes' rise to prominence in the shot-put scene began in the 1970s, as he quickly distinguished himself as the top British athlete in the discipline. His crowning achievement came in 1980 when he set the British record for the longest shot put with a phenomenal throw of 21.68 meters, a record that still stands to this day. That moment cemented his place in history, not only as the best British shot putter of all time, but also as one of the greatest athletes the country has ever produced. His prowess wasn't confined to the domestic stage. Capes twice claimed gold medals at the Commonwealth Games and secured 2 gold medals at the European Indoor Championships. His competitive spirit led him to 3 consecutive Olympic Games, where he represented Team GB with pride. While he came closest to securing an Olympic medal in Moscow in 1980, finishing in 5th place, Capes' presence at the highest level of competition earned him widespread admiration from fans and fellow athletes alike. In an era when track and field athletes struggled for the same recognition as footballers or cricketers in the UK, Capes brought attention and excitement to the shot-put discipline. His performances regularly filled stadiums and ignited the enthusiasm of British sports fans. The Highland Games and World's Strongest Man, expanding his legacy. As if being one of the world's best shot putters wasn't enough, Geoff Capes found success in another arena entirely, the prestigious World's Strongest Man competition. His reputation as an all-around strongman grew throughout the 1980s as Capes embraced a new challenge, proving himself as the strongest man in the world. It was in 1983, during the World's Strongest Man competition in Christchurch, New Zealand, that Capes reached the pinnacle of his strongman career. Competing against an elite field of strongmen from across the globe, Capes dominated the competition with his unrivaled strength, taking home the title of World's Strongest Man. 2 years later, in 1985, Capes repeated his success, winning the event again in Cascais, Portugal. These victories solidified his reputation as one of the world's strongest athletes, both literally and figuratively. At his physical prime, Capes weighed an imposing 170 kilograms, 375 pounds, and was a towering figure at 6 feet 5.5 inches. He became a household name, recognized not only for his raw strength, but for his gentle demeanor and genuine love for sport and competition. Capes also had a deep connection to the Highland Games, where he became a 6-time world champion. The Highland Games are steeped in history and tradition, known for their blend of strength and agility, and Capes' dominance in these events further highlighted his versatility as an athlete. Whether it was throwing cabers, weights, or stones, Capes showed that his strength knew no bounds. a mentor and role model. Coaching the next generation. When Capes finally hung up his competition boots, he didn't step away from the sport entirely. Instead, he dedicated himself to nurturing and coaching the next generation of athletes, passing on the wisdom he had accumulated from years of competition. His coaching career was just as impactful as his time in the spotlight, with many athletes benefiting from his guidance and expertise. His contributions to British athletics extended far beyond coaching. Capes was known for his approachability, his kindness, and his willingness to offer advice to anyone who sought it. His work was instrumental in continuing the growth of strength sports in the UK, encouraging young athletes to strive for greatness in their own right. Beyond the arena, Geoff Capes, the man. Geoff Capes wasn't just a world-class athlete. He was a man with varied passions and interests. Outside of sport, Capes was a devoted family man and a beloved figure in his local community in Lincolnshire, where he spent his later years living in the village of Stoke Rochford. He is survived by 2 children and grandchildren, who carry on his legacy of dedication and passion. Remarkably, Capes had another surprising hobby that brought him just as much joy as shot putting or strongman competitions: his love for budgerigars. Yes, the man who once lifted trucks and flipped tires was also a renowned budgerigar enthusiast. His love for these small birds was no passing interest. In 2008, he even served as the president of the Budgerigar Society, a testament to his diverse interests and humble nature. A former policeman, Capes' humility and sense of service were ingrained in him from his early years in the force. His love for his country and his roots in the working-class community of Lincolnshire shaped the man he became: humble, hard-working, and full of heart. Tributes to a Titan. The world remembers Geoff Capes. Upon the news of his passing, the tributes poured in from across the world, illustrating just how far-reaching Capes' influence had been, not only as an athlete, but as a mentor and inspiration. Fellow strongman and 2017 World's Strongest Man winner Eddie Hall, one of Britain's modern-day powerhouses, paid tribute to the legend by stating, "Geoff was a true legend of strength." Not only was Geoff a 2-time World's Strongest Man and a record-breaking shot putter, but he was also a giant in heart and spirit. Hall went on to speak about how Capes had inspired him growing up, noting that it was Capes who paved the way for future generations of British strongmen. "He showed us all what British grit and determination could achieve," said Hall. "He was an inspiration to so many of us growing up, and his legacy will continue to inspire the next generation of strongmen and athletes around the world." The world of athletics, too, reflected on Capes' passing with deep sadness. Lord Coe, president of World Athletics and one of Britain's most celebrated Olympians, remarked, "Geoff's passing is a sad moment for so many of us in both British and global athletics. He was a huge figure in British athletics and brought the crowds back to our sport." British Athletics released a statement, saying, "British athletics are saddened to hear the news of former British shot putter Geoff Capes passing. Our condolences go out to his family and friends at this time." Tessa Sanderson, the Olympic javelin champion of 1984, also paid her respects, describing Capes as a great person and a giant of an athlete. Reigning British shot put champion Scott Lincoln added his voice to the chorus of tributes, writing on Instagram, "An icon, hero, legend, role model, friend, and all-around good guy. Geoff will be sorely missed, not just by me, but by so many around the athletics community. A lasting legacy." Geoff Capes' legacy is a towering one. Whether it was in the shot-put circle, on the world's strongest man stage, or in his community in Lincolnshire, Capes stood as a giant, both in stature and in spirit. His life serves as a reminder of what can be achieved with dedication, hard work, and an unrelenting drive to push beyond limits. As the world remembers the man who broke records, won titles, and inspired athletes for generations, one thing is certain: Geoff Capes' legacy will endure. His achievements in sport are immortal, but his impact as a mentor, role model, and family man is what truly sets him apart. Rest in peace, Geoff Capes. He'll always be remembered as one of the greatest.